You know, there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
I may not be a millionaire. I may not have a brand new Frigidaire. My clothes ain't all fancy, and my car ain't brand new. But there is joy in my
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Joy in My House, inspirational reality radio show with a touch of recovery. A reality radio show where nothing is left unsaid.
And no one who says it is insignificant.
I'm joined here by recording artist Lolita Robinson and author of Shaped by the Master's Hands. Welcome to another Sunday of our show.
Well, thank you. I'm glad, and I can hear myself in the background singing.
That's true.
What's going on?
Well, if you don't know, Lolita just released her second CD. It's called Changes. You can find that on lrcministries.com, and you can purchase it on cdbaby.com as well. I want you guys out there to engage with us. The listeners and viewers out there, feel free to come in contact with us through Facebook /Joy in My House. You can also find us on Twitter /Joy in My House. You're going to have to excuse my...
Because I was wondering, you looking at me like I'm crazy, and I'm like, okay, you can ignore it all you want, but...
Well, I want to thank you guys. If you guys are out there joining us right after service, we want to thank you for being part of the joy that we have in our house.
That's it.
And I want to share a little bit about that joy today. I had an opportunity to go to Sarah Longshirt's event last night.
That's so cool.
At the Temple of Hollywood.
And what was it, a play?
It was a play by Dave Manson.
Okay.
He's a big scriptwriter and director and producer.
Yeah.
And he did it out of the goodness of his heart and gave one of his plays to the Temple of Hollywood, the Temple of Israel of Hollywood last night. And I got an opportunity to go and have such amazing joy. And the reason wasn't because I was there with these amazing people or this amazing play. I had the opportunity to take my 15-year-old daughter, the best girl that I could have put by my side.
That is so cool.
To the event.
And remind people who Sarah was. Remember Sarah
was actually on our show. She's a recording artist. She has her new CD out, Let It Rise, and she is a thespian. So
That's right.
She performs and sings.
Isn't that beautiful?
And she actually had an amazing story because she is an Asperger's
Autistic,
spokesperson.
yeah, and she is. But you would never know.
You would never know it.
Forget the labels with people. You know, God is incredible. So how did your daughter love it?
She really
Sarah's
enjoyed
young,
it.
hanging out with us older people all the time, you know?
Me personally, I'm so used to hanging out with an older crowd. I always have been, and I gravitate towards that. So I got an opportunity to show my daughter what it's like to behave in a certain way. You know, we claim to be Christians and we want to live at a higher standard, to go to these events and not drink, not party, not try and hook up or pick up or all these things that these kids are now.
Well, you wouldn't find that at a temple, but
you would think, right?
Yeah.
You would think, but it was just beautiful to show her how I live my life now.
Right.
And I want to be this person of character and integrity, to be able to enjoy this event and to meet
for her to see Sarah, a young lady who's not much older than her.
And that's what I was going to say.
How beautiful and talented, how she can use her.
To hang out with these level of people that are at a different level, that are there to really express what God has done in their lives.
Right.
And the joy that they get out of that. And I found joy in that.
Right. Was it is it like a spiritual play, or was it a secular play, or?
It was actually a comedy. It
wow.
was pretty interesting. It was very interesting.
What did Sarah have to do?
She was one of the Children of Light, which was the main cast, are about 4 or 5 young ladies.
Okay.
And they were all singers and performers, and they all did great. But she killed it.
We
She was so professional.
We're prejudiced. She's our baby.
Yeah, I have to say.
She's our.
And I want to send a shout
all
out.
the ladies, all of our girls, Angel and the lady we're having a Heidi today. Those are our girls. So we got to be,
And I do want to send a shout out to Michelle, her mother.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Wow.
Good.
If it wasn't for the foundation of our families, including myself, I mean, we couldn't be where we're at. So.
Well, I'm glad you did that. And
I also want to thank Tony Roberts from Huntington Beach Christian Presbyterian CR.
Yeah.
Lolita got an opportunity to share her testimony and perform there this Friday. And
they
it was
so
amazing.
Gracious. They were so gracious to me. Thank you, Tony. Thank you. Every time I get a chance to go, our guest today talks about being nervous. I can't stand it. But once I get out there and God takes over, it's amazing. And they were so loving to me. Thank you, Huntington Beach. And the other CRs, Friendship Baptist, a lot of them that I've been
Christian
able,
Life,
yeah,
Park Crest
Park
Christian
Crest,
Church
a
with
lot of,
Kathy.
Claremont. So thank you, everybody.
And I want to do a quick shout out before we go into the recap of last week's show. If you haven't seen the movie Home Run, go out and watch it. It is a great testimonial of redemption. Definitely go see it. It's out in theaters. This weekend might be the last weekend, so please go out and see it
Okay.
as soon as you can. I promised John Brennan that I would give it a plug.
That's right.
And Home Run, the film, was here on our show several weeks ago.
Yeah, they
So you
were.
can also catch the recap there on LA Talk Live. www.latalklive. We have an archive of all of our shows. And last week we had an amazing
Oh, I
guest,
was gonna
Dr.
ask
Bill
you,
Diamond,
we're trying to get him on as our resident.
clinical
That's
psychologist.
it,
Yes.
Dr. Bill. So
Dr.
how'd
Bill.
that go? You guys went out to lunch. See all this stuff you do, all this
You know,
partying.
it was, but it's funny because people look at party and think, oh, so you're drinking,
Yeah.
you're doing. I don't do that.
No, but
I'm
you
a
and
little
him went out
slower,
for
a little older.
coffee.
And what a he came off like such a cool guy. I go, you are such a cool cat.
Yeah,
I
he
had
really
to call
was.
him
And
like
you
that.
guys had coffee this week, and you
Yeah.
hung out afterwards.
Yes, we did, and he said he'd be willing to come back on. He has a great book out called "Fire Your Excuses"
And I
that you
have
can
been
find
reading
on
it.
Barnes and Nobles right now. And he's good friends with John Townsend as well.
Yeah.
He's gonna send a big recommendation for him to come on the show as well. So
Yeah, I have really been enjoying it.
God
He's
is
been breaking
amazing.
it down and on the different areas of how, the setbacks in our lives when we don't take care of them, how it keeps us from progressing in what God wants us to do. So hopefully he'll come back.
hopefully he will, and
Yeah.
I think he will as
Yeah,
well.
so I'm looking forward
Well,
to today.
I want you guys out there, viewers, listeners, audience, I want you to engage with us. Find us on Facebook /Join My House. You can find us on www.latalklive.com on your computers. But if you want to stream us live, if you're just listening to us on your mobile devices on iTunes, genre R&B, and you can find us LA Talk Live Radio. You can actually stream us live and watch our audio and visual as well on ustream.tv /LA Talk Live or /Joy in My House.
That's right.
Our in-studio tease is Heidi Davis.
Oh man, you guys are really in for a special treat. This woman has a heart for broken people. Not that other people haven't, but I think this is going to be a real nail biter testimony. I'm looking forward to it.
It really is.
I want to get ministered to.
I want you guys to stay tuned. I want you guys to engage. Heidi is going to come in live as our in-studio guest, and you can call in. You can tweet us, twitter.com /Joy in My House with any questions or comments. You call the studio line. It's going to be open. It's 323-247-7443. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joy in My House on LA Talk Live. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Come back.
How can I forget you? Where did the sweetness go, Lord? Have I fallen from your hand? Am I so far from you, Lord? Is my life in your plan? Where can I run when I feel all alone? Do my words truly reach you high on your throne? Where did your presence go, Lord? Have you pushed me far from your mind? Where did our laughter go? Will you smile on me one more time? How can I walk when the lights are growing dim? This pressure is hard, and I feel that my life will cave in. And I heard you say, how can I forget you?
Are you ready to enjoy the Maui lifestyle? You can have it all by owning real estate on the paradise island of Maui. Dennis Rush, a 22-year Maui resident and real estate broker, brings his wealth of experience and market knowledge to add value to your Maui real estate understanding, providing a level of service as unique and exceptional as the island of Maui itself. The magical island of Maui was voted the most exclusive resort island in the world by Condé Nast Traveler, and keep in mind, Maui is only a simple, non-stop flight away. Hawaii Business Magazine Top 100 Realtors awarded Dennis Rush the 2011 fourth top realtor on the island of Maui. Go to www.dennisrush.com to view all of the amazing properties currently available in the Maui MLS system. Whatever your needs or desires, Dennis Rush will provide a private consultation for any Maui properties your heart desires. You will be in good hands. Once again, go to www.dennisrush.com. That's www.dennisrush.com. Contact Dennis today to start your Maui lifestyle now. Dennis Rush, proud sponsors of the Dawn Christie Show and LA Talk Live.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Joy in My House, inspirational reality radio show with a touch of recovery. I'm joined here by my co-host, Lolita Robinson.
Oh, I'm so blessed to be here. How are you?
A lot of joy.
Okay,
a lot
me
of joy
too.
in my house.
I'm looking forward
There's
today.
been weeks that we've had some struggles and some challenges,
Yes.
and this is one of those weeks that I just feel very grateful, very grateful.
Hallelujah.
And we have our in-studio guest, and
Yes,
this is one
a
of the reasons
beautiful
why.
lady.
Heidi Davis, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Welcome to the show. Thank you for being
Yeah.
faithful and for coming on the show.
Mhm.
I know that this is not your forte, and it's not always comfortable coming out here and doing something like this, but thank you for coming and being so faithful. I got an opportunity to meet you through Paul Obel, one of our,
Yeah. Hi, Paul. Haven't seen you for a while. Miss you.
Paul
Mhm.
Obel sits on the board of directors of our show. He does our marketing and our websites, does Lolita's website, my website. And he introduced us to an amazing young lady, Aniela, who has a book out called Skin Deep. She was on our show, and she actually referred you. No, I'm sorry.
No, you got that's next
see,
week.
That's next.
See, see, he's so happy. That's okay.
I know her.
Reality.
I think
you know,
you're friends with
you don't
Aniela.
know. Oh, beautiful
With
lady.
Ann.
But
Okay, all
Paul
right.
is
So
Paul is the one that referred me directly. He said
Okay.
you need to have this young lady on. Here's her testimony. He sent me your contact information.
Mhm.
It took me a while to read your testimony, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna book her. I haven't read her testimony yet, but when I sat down and started reading it, I couldn't stop. So when I got an opportunity to write the outline for your show today, it was very powerful, and I want to thank you for coming on the show and being transparent, because I know that this is not easy.
yeah, and this is your first time too
Yes.
to
thank
this
you.
degree. So let's go. Let's
Thank
go.
you.
You got a lot
Well,
to say.
Let's start off by give us a little history of yourself, little family of origin.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, I grew up in San Juan Capistrano. I belong to the Juaneño Hashiman Nation, Juaneño Band Mission Indian tribe.
Oh, how beautiful.
Oh, wow.
And my mom was 15 years old when she had me.
Okay.
And my dad, I think she was 17. She was very young.
Mhm.
And my dad was a teenager as well, 18, 19 years old.
Really young. Okay. So were you raised on a reservation? Or?
No,
Okay.
no. I was actually put up for adoption.
Oh.
And my family that raised me also lived in San Juan Capistrano, or lives in San Juan Capistrano.
Were they an Indian family also, or?
Yes, and Hispanic.
Okay. All right. Wow, what a beautiful combination.
Well, when I was reading your testimony, you were saying how you were born a preemie. So when you were born, were the chances of you surviving good, or how was that with regarding your family? Did they know what was going on?
Well, my mom was about 7 months pregnant, and back then the only hospital around was Laguna Beach.
Oh, wow.
And they lived in San Clemente, and I think she was painting my room, and maybe the fumes from the paint, triggered the pregnancy.
Okay.
So I guess I had to be hospitalized for a month.
Okay, now you said she was painting your room. So was she thinking of keeping you and then at the last minute decided not to, or what? Do you know?
I don't know. I just know that
Okay.
after she had me, it was during the time when my dad's friends were being drafted into the Vietnam War.
Oh wow, yeah.
And he was a physically fit surfer, and he was just really active in sports
Mm-hmm.
and healthy, and he wasn't called into the war, but instead he had to go to jail for some drug dealings.
Wow, that's pretty
And,
heavy.
Yeah. And my mom became schizophrenic.
Wow.
And
You found all this out after you had been adopted, or did you
No.
spend time with her before you were adopted?
I spent time with her before I was adopted.
Okay, now how long?
Like the first 2.5 years of my life.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
And during those 2.5 years, I saw that you wrote that you were neglected. It even
Yes.
came to a point where you were eating, and this is hard for you even to say, dog food.
My father said that I disappeared for 3 days, and he found me in a backyard in Dana Point eating dog food. And,
Wow.
Yeah, there was a lot of negligence.
well, your mother was having a psychotic break, I guess, of some
Yes.
sort at that time, and
Yes.
being a little tiny girl, so you probably don't remember. Do you remember have any memories of any of that, or?
I want to say I do, but I don't know.
Mhm.
The one thing I am grateful for is that my mother did not leave me in a dumpster.
Mhm.
She left me on a doorstep,
Oh.
and it wasn't just any doorstep. It was people that she knew,
Mhm.
and she left me with a Vaughn's bag and torn, dirty clothes and a 4.5-foot giraffe stuffed animal. And my mother, my adopted mother, just was so happy to have me because she had 2 unhealthy daughters.
You mean
that
like-
they were one was mentally retarded, and the other one was mongoloid, and it was a form of retardation.
Yes, yes.
And my
And this is the woman that your mother left on the doorstep. So she didn't
Yeah.
know that a baby was coming in her life.
Yes.
Boy, look how God
Yeah.
spends. And, out giving, to your mother, even in the midst of her own, whatever she was going through, in her own way, that was a very loving thing to do.
Yes, like I said, she didn't leave me in a dumpster.
No, she
left
did
me on
not.
a
She
doorstep.
did not. And so this lady has this little joy of, a package.
Yep. So my adopted mom, said she gave me a bath and she put some pillows on the floor. They went out and bought me a crib the next day. She said I was happy, and they had four children, 2 sons that were healthy, and they did sports and they were sponsored, and they had 2 unhealthy daughters. I always grew up with dogs that had ribbons in their hair and sweaters at Christmas time. And I had a swing set in the backyard, and I used to make mud pies. And there are some good memories there.
It sounds like it. It sounds like it. It sounds like
So
it.
the adoptive family seemed to be a positive
Yes,
and
yes.
a healthy home. To
Were they
some degree.
Christians?
No Catholic, but
Well,
not-
yeah. I hear you. Not in the way that we, yes, I hear you.
My grandma prayed her rosary every day, but
This is the adopted grandmother. Now, where was your father doing this, your biological father? When he was in the war?
No, he ended up going to jail for
That's right. That's
the
what you
drug
said.
dealings.
Okay.
And he spent 32 years inside the prison, in and out prison, but 32 years total in the inside.
Wow.
But today God delivered him from heroin, and
Wow.
he discharged his parole number, and he was able to give me away at my wedding.
Oh, that's so
Wow.
exciting.
Yeah,
That is so
yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah, hurt people.
Yes, they do.
And he didn't have it easy either. And he was actually raised with the same family that adopted me. So I would see him. This is where it gets confusing.
Yeah,
I
no,
know.
he was raised by the
I need
same.
another hour.
Okay, but that's why I told you. See, now she's relaxing, and see, you thought you were gonna,
I know.
the problem's gonna be not enough time.
Yeah,
now,
I
you
know, right.
So explain that.
Um,
Do you have that in your outline? Okay.
My real grandma had to give him up because she got sick. And there was a family that wanted him, but they couldn't afford him because they had so many kids of their own. So her other best friend took my dad, and that was the family that adopted me.
So your mother knew. Of course, your mother knew.
My adopted mom was raised with my dad as brother and sister.
Oh my goodness, this is quite a story.
I didn't mean to go there.
No, you go wherever God wants you to go. I mean,
But,
to hear this
Yeah.
just lets me know that no matter what
Circumstances.
circumstances, God can tie all this together.
Yes. Well, I share that because I spent a lot of time at my grandma's house, and she was Catholic, and she, taught me about manners and loving God and lots of things. She was uh, just a Hispanic funny lady, strict. If you had a hard heart, she could break you down just by blessing you. Vaya con Dios, and oh my God, there come the tears.
But your mother at the time,
Mhm.
where was she? Because it says that you lived in fear of her coming and taking you,
Yes.
but at the same time you longed for her.
Yes. When I started school, my brother would come and see me from my adopted family. He would visit me at school and ask me how
Okay.
my day went.
Mm-hmm.
My adopted family was very concerned for me attending school because my real mom was always trying to kidnap me.
Okay, so
Wow.
she was always
Yeah.
around trying to.
Yes.
Okay.
And as a result, I had to change schools since kindergarten. I never got to stay in school long enough, even though I was raised in a 4-bedroom house and had that stability.
You didn't have the stability of the schools. I know that
didn't.
too. I
Yeah.
went to many elementary schools, so you had a whole lot of probably abandonment, a lot of fear.
They always told me, don't let her take you. I was basically just looking
Did
over
you?
my
Would
shoulder.
you've known her because you were 2 when
Yeah,
she
I
gave you
knew,
up?
I knew her, but then I didn't. I
Okay.
had a curiosity about her.
Right.
I heard everybody in town would talk about her, and I always choose to remember the good things, but unfortunately, I did experience a lot of the bad things. She would come to my school and cause a scene. I had restraining orders that never worked, that I had my whole life.
Was she ever able to actually abduct you? Did she ever?
No, but I one time did consider going with her.
Okay, well,
When I was
that's
a
your
teen-
mother.
When I was
Yeah.
a kid, when I was talking to her.
Okay.
Now it says in my notes that she also gave birth to 5 other children,
Yes, she did.
and
Yeah.
not all of them in perfect circumstances.
No, I I was growing up and getting a lot of. My mom was on the newspaper a lot.
Really, because of her
Yeah.
behavior? Was she like a
Yes.
bag lady or street lady or
She's
something?
a street person.
Okay.
Yeah, but
all
she has
right.
class. She doesn't push a cart. She has a bag.
Okay, well,
She's
you
like
know,
a hippie.
But you know what? That's
Yeah.
she was surviving.
Yes.
We want to give her
Yes.
some grace. We're not trying to.
No.
I think you were like concerned that you wanted your family to know that you loved them.
Yes.
And even though there's a lot of dysfunction that you're talking about,
Yes.
but you want people to know that you do love your family. And this is
Yes.
not to throw tomatoes. It's just to see that there was a lot of hurt, a lot of brokenness,
Yes.
a lot of disease.
Yeah, her cycle consisted of going in the hospital and then graduating up the levels and then getting put in a boarding care where you have a minimal security.
Right.
And then she would AWOL, and her goal was always to stay away for 30 days so she could be free and get off conservatorship. But by the time that rolled around, she'd be off her meds,
Oh,
her money's
boy.
gone, and then
Right.
pregnant.
Oh boy.
So we were all adopted out, and I was the oldest,
That's
and she
okay.
always went after me because I was the oldest. So
And so they were all adopted out. So you, well, maybe that's going to come. I don't know in the lineup.
Well, let's fast forward to
how you
one
come
of the
together.
one of the traumatic situations of you being in this adopted family was the death of your stepbrother Ricky.
yes.
So the
Yes.
one protector that you felt was always there and cared for you
Yes.
had an accident, I understand.
How much
Yes.
older were they?
Let's see. I was the youngest. My brother is 11 years older, and that brother I think was 6 years older than me, because he was 11 and I was about 5 years old when the accident happened.
What happened?
And just for that short time that I was with him, he just made such an impact on me. He would, if I got up early in the morning, he'd make me a bowl of cereal. If I was outside, he'd say, Heidi, get a sweater on. He was just, and I heard he was very excited. He was the baby of their family, but he was so excited to be a big brother, and he was very nurturing and loving. And when I started school, like I said, he would come and pull me out of kindergarten every day and ask me, how's your day going?
Okay, so he was
Huge.
okay. So you were 5, so he was 11. Oh my goodness, this is touching my heart. What happened?
Well, I never got to ask questions because it was very painful for my family. Not only did they have the 2 handicapped daughters and now the loss of their son, which destroyed the family. And my brother, he was driving with our cousins down, I think, Del Obispo Street. And the story is that I know is that my 2 cousins were bickering over the window seat. It was a pickup truck. and my brother offered to sit in the middle seat. And my cousin who was driving, she said, "Oh, look, there's a spark on the road." Now, the other story I've heard is that someone threw a rock in an intersection, but I don't know what happened. But the bottom line is a rock came through the windshield, hit him in the forehead, and he flew out the bed of the truck.
Oh my
And
goodness.
yeah, and he ended up in a coma for 2 weeks, and his 12th birthday passed, and he died. And there was the alcoholism in my adoptive family, my dad, and after all that, with my brother, shortly thereafter, my parents divorced when I
They
was
weren't
8 years
able-
old.
They say
Yeah.
that usually when there's a death in the family, I understand that pulls people apart. They're just not
Especially
able
a
to.
child.
A
I
child.
can't even I mean,
A lot
I
of
know the
blame.
effects as a sibling, but you know.
So after that, they weren't able to pull it together.
No.
So the security and stability that you had was shattered in so many ways.
And I don't think anyone thought it affected me because I was so young, you know.
Right.
But it really did.
Yeah, that's an important thing.
Yeah.
I think people are telling people, well, you don't need to go back into the past. Let that be there. And, that has nothing to do with it. You go on. But that does, it shapes us. From 2 years old being left on somebody's doorstep to losing a sibling to changing all these different schools, all these things impact our experience in life and how we look at life.
Yes.
And it doesn't seem like it got better. It seemed like after that, it actually got worse. And, there was some sexual abuse as well right after that. So even through that brokenness and that abandonment and
You
that
had
hurt,
a lot, my dear. I can just see the pain, but I can just, what the beautiful thing, and I want you to share about that. The love that comes from you and the
you.
tenderness
Thank
that
you.
comes from you. What happened? Who was your abuser?
2 are alive still, and the other have passed away. So I won't say who they were. But because again, I think just hurt people, But it was ongoing from age 5 to 14, and I was shown pornography and given money for my silence, and
Oh, boy.
it was just a way of life.
Were there people that you trusted? Let's just, that you trusted. So right there.
Yeah, and I just became, I guess, a normal part of life, and I blocked out a lot of it, actually. My memory didn't come back till I was 14.
Oh,
Because
wow.
I think everything kind of went to a head at that age for me.
Oh, it was very traumatic.
Yeah.
Oh, you've had so much in your life. So much.
And then your sister, who, when you guys had an intact family, when your brother was alive, you guys would sit down and have dinner and lunch together. Now it was just you and your sister, who was violent, but was also handicapped.
Yes.
Well, who were you living with? Because this is kind of getting confusing.
I know. It gets
So
confusing.
who were you living with? Your mother?
My adopted
Your
mom.
adopted mom?
Yes.
She had the kids. And your adopted father?
Yes. My
Okay.
adopted dad left to get sober,
Okay.
and my brother was in the house for a little while. Then he left because I
Okay.
think our age difference.
Right.
He just got out on his own.
So you and the two girls
So
were
it was
left.
just me and my handicapped sister Norma, and she's a mute, so she doesn't speak.
Okay.
And
And there was another one too, right?
she died at age 15.
Oh, my
And she
goodness.
was the mongoloid one. She was in a state hospital, and we used to go visit her.
Okay.
Yeah,
So I
she
just
died.
want to make this story so
Yeah.
that people can track with it.
Yeah,
So
sorry.
that's okay. Well, it's a lot. You know what?
Yeah.
But you're doing very well. It's
Thank
just,
you.
and who else got this going? We're just trying to tie it in for everybody. Okay.
Yeah.
The one thing that concerned me, or not that concerned me, that just raised a big flag, was that your grandmother, being Catholic, would kind of be a little mean to you. I would say mean, telling you that God will punish you with a daughter like your sister if you didn't.
Well, yeah. Okay, you're
I'll
gonna explain that,
explain that.
but also we were talking about the sister.
Yes,
the
that's-
sister was violent.
Yes, that's the same sister.
Okay, so she was violent towards you, and then
Yes.
this grandmother. Okay.
Okay.
Just trying to keep it. All right.
No, she, the handicapped sister Norma, she was very violent, and we had to have live-in help sometimes, or I was a latchkey kid, and it was really hard because my sister was very violent all the time. She
Towards
didn't
you?
speak. Everybody.
Okay.
She didn't speak, and
Okay.
every family has their dysfunction and
Yeah.
their dynamic, and
Absolutely.
and I think it was just a lot for my family to have these two handicapped daughters, the frustration. And so every time I would tell somebody, oh, she pinched me or she pulled my hair, it was I was dismissed, and or you shouldn't be standing next to her,
Yeah, it was your fault.
And there was a lot of shaming, and And I think my grandma, in a loving way, I don't know, she's Mexican Catholic, I love my grandma. It probably did sound abusive to say that, yeah, she said that, but I know she's in her own way,
And you did say that in your testimony,
Yeah.
that in her own way it was loving.
Yes, she
Yeah,
was.
she did what she could. So no
Yeah.
one, did anybody have any idea that this abuse was going on? The sexual abuse?
No.
Nobody knew.
No, but my grandma would say in Spanish, "Oh, Dios te va a castigar," which means God's going to punish you one day,
For
with
what?
a child like this, because she felt like I don't know. I just felt like at times I felt like my family would put things on me and say you're this way, and I wasn't that way. And
Oh my
and as a
gosh.
kid, I would think like, where is that coming from? But now that I'm older, I realize they were just probably putting their stuff on me.
Heidi,
Right.
you
You know
had
what I mean?
so much going
Yeah,
on.
and so many people do
so
that.
many
They project
people.
their insecurities, their issues onto you, and it's really just them looking in the mirror. So you
Well,
had
you
a
were
lot
more
of
of you were a scapegoat.
Yes.
right.
You were
the
a
one-
sexual battering ram for people, and then you were being punched, and then you were being there was death. I mean, to look at you, if I had any doubt that there was a God, I know that there is. The fact that you're sitting here whole like you are today
It is 'cause
with
of
the stuff that
Jesus.
you're sharing.
It's because of Jesus.
I just wanted to say that. Go ahead. What were you saying?
We're just gonna go into your father, your biological father.
Yes.
Now you loved him,
Yes.
and obviously, actually, you can see how much love you have.
Yeah.
But yet you also pitied him, and to you, the love and the pity were the same.
Yes, that was a revelation I had later on in my adult life. I would see my dad periodically at my grandma's house, which I spent a lot of time with. And I had more freedom at my grandma's house. At home, I had to go straight to school and straight home. And my mom was always, my adopted mother was always afraid I'd get kidnapped, so I didn't have any freedom. At my grandma's house, she let me walk down to, Thrifties to get an ice cream cone or whatever. And but my dad would come there periodically, but he was always in a hurry. And but you know what? For the 5 minutes that I would see him, he made me feel so loved. He would hug me, he would give me a kiss, he'd tell me he loved me, and I had nobody say that to me. So I just, grabbed onto that whenever he would say that. But
So he was the one that told you verbally that he loved. Everyone else did it more in their gesture, but they didn't know how to say it.
yes,
I would imagine your adoptive mother must have just been so broken to the core with
she
all of the
was.
things that she had going
She
on.
was.
But that doesn't minimize the effect that these things had on you. So we want to tell people that yes, we want to give grace to those who have been sick in our lives and may not have been able to give us the care. But sometimes if we over-identify with them, it doesn't give you enough time to process your own stuff. So we're not minimizing what you went through.
thank you.
Really.
Yeah.
Well, when did the abuse stop?
When I
You said 14.
At
How did
14.
it stop?
I was actually, well, like I said, everything came to a head. I started to discover the newspaper write-ups about my mom, that the school would call my adopted mom, and let her know, hey, there's an article. They tried to hide that from me, but I found them. My adopted mom's verbal abuse at the time, I think she had a lot. She was divorced, 2 kids by herself, and she would just lock herself up in her room. So in that, I started to isolate, and it just got to be too much. And I ended up in a hospital when I was 14 for 3 months.
Oh, you had a nervous breakdown?
I was just really depressed, and I wanted to die. And yeah.
And did it come out then? Did the
Yeah, because
therapist-
like I said, I blocked out all that molestation, and my mom had changed my room, and one of the rooms I was moved into, that's where it occurred, and I started getting flashbacks and remembering.
Okay.
So but as the years went on in my teenage years, the Lord started to reveal more and more. By the time I was 17, I discovered that there was a way more people involved than just that one isolated person. And but
by going to the hospital, the Lord physically removed you from the situation, and then maybe you were strong enough at that point to. Were the people taken out of your life, or
yes, I was
Okay.
in the hospital. They were going to put me in a foster home, and I'd always been praying to go live with my adopted dad. And the Lord answered my prayer, and He let me go live with him.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Well, where was the Lord in this? I'm sure Joel was gonna.
yeah.
That was in there.
That was going
Yeah,
next.
'cause we're
Where
usually
was your
pretty much-
faith
yeah.
at that time?
Yeah.
Well, ever since I was raised Catholic, and I always loved the Lord, though. Ever since I was a little girl, I would cry out to Jesus. I cried every night for Him, for to heal my parents, to bring my adopted dad back home, and just all those things that children pray, and so that's what I did.
What's interesting because
That's
you
what
lie.
And you said God answered your prayer. You got to live with your dad, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's interesting because you would lie. You lied to your adopted mom about being an alcoholic, so you would see your dad in AA programs.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Okay, I didn't have visitation because back then, they didn't have visitation, or
Yeah.
like they
just
do
did with
today.
kids what
Yeah.
like they
Yeah.
wanted to do. You're just
Yeah.
property.
Right. And I wanted to see my dad, so I just got this clever idea that if I said I was an alcoholic, we had a bar in our dining area, that I could go to AA and see my dad and have a visit. So it worked, and I went, I went with him, and then, like I said, after that, I went to the hospital, and my adopted dad came and saw me every single day when I was in there for the 3 months.
Okay, so
Yeah.
without getting into who it was, obviously it wasn't your adoptive father. Who was
No,
one
it
of the
wasn't my
abusers.
father's. No, it was
Thank
none of them.
God.
No.
Thank God.
No.
Well, there's this story that I would like to hear that you didn't really go into, which I
Yes.
thought was very interesting. Is that you were very interested to see what the men's stag meetings were
Oh,
like.
yes.
So you dressed up like a man with a girlfriend and went
Yes.
into one of the men's.
What was that about?
Okay. Well, I'll backtrack to the girl. I met a girl at the hospital, and she grew up in Balboa Island, and she became my best friend in the hospital because her mom was schizophrenic too. So we bonded right away. And when after the hospital, I got to go live with my dad. So I left a 4-bedroom house in San Juan and moved in with my dad, my adopted dad, in a 1-bedroom in San Clemente. And she would always leave her Balboa Island house and come hang out with me in San Clemente. And so she was a more radical one. I was just a follower. But I did hang out at the AA club all the time because my dad has 33 years sobriety, and he's very well known in San Clemente. And
Shout
so,
out to him. Great.
Yeah, he's a godly
Awesome.
man, man. And anyway, I used to sit at the club, and he was always carrying the message. I mean, AA was a religion in our house. And so I felt abandoned by that. There was, good and bad from it.
Yeah,
but,
because AA, because that comes
Yeah.
first. Their sobriety, their
Yes.
sponsor, and
Yes.
their serving. That's
Yes.
true. That is
yeah,
true.
but I mean, that was his lifestyle before I intruded on it, when I was 14, moving in with him. I'm sure that was a lot for him. But anyway, I used to sit at the club all day long, and there wasn't too many young people back then. And whenever it was Monday night men's stag, they'd always kick me out. They'd say, "Heidi, you got to go because the meeting's going to start." Well, my girlfriend said, let's dress up as men and go to the men's stag. So we did it.
And they didn't know the difference?
Well, I like to think not, but I don't know. I think I fooled some people, but probably
How long
not.
did you guys do that?
Okay, we went in and we got these like zoot suits, and I said we went to the thrift store. I got a suit and I greased my hair back. I put a hat on, and I said my name was Hank. I'm not, I don't know. And I thought I was fooling some people. Some people we didn't fool.
I'm sure.
And,
That's That's just an interesting story.
Yeah,
you know?
but we sat in the meeting and they started to do the readings. And we started panicking. We're like, oh my God, we're pulling it out. So we couldn't deal with it. So we ran out. And my dad heard about it.
But it's funny, but it shows you the desperation of a daughter wanting to be with her dad. You know, I know.
Okay.
To go through that and to identify what was going on with the men. I mean, just.
Yeah, I was just curious what they talk about. So I thought.
Well, I think that's.
I think it was just the age, 14.
I don't know. A whole lot of people don't think about that. Go drink.
That's true. Well, I do want to fast forward. At 17 years old, you ended up in a soup line in Orange with the Women of Glow, which is a Christian organization. At 17, I am running a little bit out of time, so I'm going to fast forward that.
And I want to ask her too before, if she can explain what schizophrenia is. Do you know enough about it to share with people about schizophrenia and how that was? But
no, go ahead.
Do this first. You know what you were saying.
No, go ahead.
Well, it's
to some of the audience that people might have parents, because I know people who are suffering who have parents that are schizophrenic.
It's just a mental disorder.
Mhm.
I haven't researched it much.
But that's okay. All
But
right.
yeah, I
Okay.
mean, I've just been affected by it
All right.
majorly.
Okay. All right. Then that's good.
Yeah.
I just wanted just to know.
Well, at 17, you're in the soup line
Mm-hmm.
in Orange for Women of Glow, which is a Christian organization at 17. And then you married one of the first men that you actually met. And I am going to fast forward. And again, you walked in on him in a real sensitive situation.
Yes. I was homeless for 1 year when I was 17, and I did end up in a soup line. And then as a result of that, I got connected with Women's Aglow. And they had a house in the south end of San Clemente, and I got to live there. Shortly thereafter, I met my husband. I married the first guy because I just was in a hurry to grow up.
Right.
And I walked in on him molesting his niece when I was 21 years old.
And that was very devastating too.
Yes,
You were
especially
20.
with
You
your-
were 21 years old. And how old was the niece?
She was 15.
Oh my. Well, thank God. You know
Yeah.
what? I'm so glad you said that you walked in and saw him molesting your niece because
His niece.
His niece. Because some people would say, well, she was 15 and she was having an affair with him. You did not blame her, maybe because you went through it.
And she told me that it had been happening ever since she was little. And I did some research and found out that he had molested some other people.
Oh my.
And it took me a year to
goodness.
get him registered as a sex offender. And
You
I
had
did.
the courage to do that?
Yeah,
That's
I-
a big deal, Heidi. 'cause
No one
usually
would listen either.
the
And I wanna
victims
get to
sometimes
that.
get afraid.
Well, I want to get to that because you did seek help. You know, you 12 in your 12-step programs in church, and you felt people actually pull away from you
Yes, I did.
because of you speaking out. You know, because
Yes.
people are in denial and they don't want to
And nobody
talk
wanted to
about
hear
it.
you. What happened?
Well, my husband, he was very physically abusive. And, you know, my incident happened before the Nicole Brown Simpson ordeal. And I think there wasn't a lot of publicity and there wasn't any subsidies. And I ended up in a couple shelters and I had to wait many years to get some assistance. And
So
you know,
it
get
was
back
that
on.
brutal. He was really.
Yes, he was. And I lived in the endless cycle of maybe this time, you know, he'll get sober or he won't hit me. But when I witnessed that molestation, I felt shattered. And I knew that
I bet.
that any family that I ever wanted was not going to be.
But
So-
you also do know that how could you not pick a man like that? That's all you knew. That's what was being done to you. And I think that's the reason why God wants you and people like me who have been through stuff, not to the severity that you have, not minimizing my story, but when you're abused like that, that's all we know.
That's all we know. Yeah.
So how could you not meet a man like that? But the thing that blesses me is that you had the inner strength to step out and speak out. You know, even so after the shelters, is that when you started persecuting him? Did they?
Yes, he wrecked my car drunk driving, and I didn't have a car. And I took the bus, 6 bus rides to go to school and drag my kids around.
How many kids did you have at this
I had 2 children with him.
Okay.
They're 23 and 19.
Oh.
And
Boys, girls?
Well, I do want
One
to
of
give you
each.
some praise here because after that, you dragged your 2 kids around 6 bus rides and earned your college degree.
yes.
Congratulations for
Thank
that.
you.
What were
Thank you.
what were a son and a daughter?
Yes, son and daughter. Yes, I wanted to go to school, and like I said, I never got a chance because my mom was always trying to kidnap me. So I asked the Lord, I want to go to school, and He just made a way. He's a way maker.
Yes, he is a way
And,
maker.
He provided everything, and I got to go.
Well, you got to backtrack and find out how the Lord came in this.
Yeah.
The next question is, where were you in your faith at this point?
I was very broken because I went searching for answers, and I cried out to the Lord, you know, what do I do? Especially at night. I would be like, Lord, what do I do? I took my vows seriously. I'm 21. Like every question that a human being would ask themselves, I pondered. And I went for help. And in one of the shelters, they said, you need to go find a group. And I wish I would have found CR then, but I didn't.
Well, it wasn't the time.
Yeah. And I wish there was a group for like, you know, wives of perpetrators or something, because we're all affected, you know.
Yeah, we
They're
are,
so
yeah.
prevalent in society, you know.
Right.
So, and there wasn't. So that just made me feel more alone. And when I went to the church, I think too it was a generational thing. There was a lot of older people in this congregation, but
Yeah.
I just felt like
Don't
I was.
tell it.
Yeah, I felt like I was a lot of religious spirit.
Mhm.
Oh, stay married. God can heal your marriage.
That's exactly right.
That's
Be
what they
quiet.
say.
It happened there, and then
Yeah.
men are men, and I've heard all
Uh-huh.
kinds of stuff.
Yeah, or leave. I didn't know. I felt so confused. And the more I
Mhm.
sought out advice and help, the more confused I got.
Mhm.
And I think in my pain, I just made more poor choices,
Mhm.
more poor choices.
Well, who shared the Lord with you? I mean, did somebody? Because at this point you were going to the Catholic Church. Or were you going to the Catholic Church?
I was raised Catholic, but when I went to live with my adopted dad, he took me to the vineyard. He was Christian.
Oh my God,
he-
I'm from the original
She's from
vineyard.
the
Yeah.
original
I'm from
vineyard.
the
Oh,
original
really?
vineyard. Yes. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Yeah, he read the Bible to me
See,
every day.
that's why I wanted to go back so we can find out. So
Yes.
he's the one who
Hmm.
was the catalyst to bringing you to Christ.
And my grandma too. I mean, even though
Right.
she was Catholic, but she taught
Yeah.
me to pray.
But to
Her
have
discipline.
the personal walk with Christ was your adopted dad.
Well, we're going to take
Wow.
a quick commercial
Oh,
break, and when we
this is
come back,
exciting, Neil.
we're going to talk to
Told you it was
Heidi
nail
about
biting.
coming back with Heidi and her finding CR and how it
Yes.
transformed her life. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joy in My House. I want you guys
Yeah.
to stay tuned and engage with us. We'll be right back.
My hope is built on nothing less than Jesus' blood and righteousness. Dare not trust the sweetest frame, but wholly lean on Jesus' name. Who Christ is solid rock I stand. All other ground is sinking sand. All other ground, yeah, is sinking sand. Ooh, yeah. When he shall come with trumpet sound, oh may I then in him be found, standing in his righteousness alone, for the standing.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Joy in My House, inspirational reality radio show with a touch of recovery. A reality radio show where nothing is left unsaid.
And no one who says it is insignificant.
And we have this amazing in-studio guest,
Oh,
Heidi
my
Davis.
goodness. Yes.
If you're just tuning in with us, she's giving her testimony and her story of hopelessness and redemption. You really are going to be touched by the transformation that God was able to do in her life because of her surrender. And if you're just tuning in, we're coming into this part of her story where, you found CR.
Yes.
Which is Celebrate Recovery, which is a Christian 12-step program that is one of my foundations. Lolita also went through the program, and we've had amazing people from Celebrate come and give their testimony, including Kathy Taylor, the state rep, and John Brennan, the regional director of Celebrate Recovery. And we're going to have John Baker hopefully
Well,
soon on the
hopefully, yeah.
show, one of the creators and developers of the show, and how it just affected your life in a transforming way. Let's talk about that
Yeah. How'd you get there from the
from the vineyard.
You were going through a lot of. Where were you when people were giving you this? An older church you ended up in after the vineyard, or was the vineyard where there were older people?
It was my husband's church.
Oh, your husband's
Yeah,
church. Okay,
yeah,
okay,
Yeah, and
okay.
it was the older people, so I left and I found the Life Church.
Okay.
Yeah,
there
Pastor
we
Phil
go.
Muncie and Jeannie.
Phil
Got to
Muncie,
throw out a
yeah.
shout out to
Oh
them.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
they are
Powerful
my-
ministry.
They're the reason I'm here, I think.
Okay. So
Yeah.
what happened? What was that step?
I showed up at their church totally broken, and he started praying, and I just cried, and they ministered to me. I witnessed many miracles there for 18 years of my membership there.
Wow.
Yeah.
God moving in a mighty
Yeah.
way. He has a church for broken people, doesn't he? Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, they have like a deliverance ministry
That's what
there.
I'm okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
they really
have-
get in the face of the devil, which is
Yes.
that's another
Yes.
part of it, which we need
Yes.
to. We had what was the beautiful lady on who, the lady who had diabetes,
Oh yes,
Adriana.
Adriana Harisa.
Adriana touched on that in dealing with, we want to be twofold about dealing with the devil too.
Mhm,
So was
mhm.
there deliverance for you that where the enemy was?
I went through that, and I just did
Okay.
everything they told me. They said tithe, they said get a vision, come to church, come to revival.
Mm-hmm.
You know, put a handkerchief if a preacher comes, a prophet comes to speak. You know,
Okay.
they'd give me their handkerchief to put under my son's pillow because I was dealing with his special needs. He had ADHD, and
Okay.
so
Wow.
we did everything. But that's another story. But anyway, they were just very instrumental in helping me, just supporting me with their teaching me the word.
So from there you ended up at Saddleback, right?
Mhm,
Okay.
mhm,
So
mhm.
now we're getting to
Yes.
this man.
Now-
He's the Celebrate Recovery man.
Yes.
Well, Celebrate Recovery
It's
has
it.
been my foundation.
It
I've
is
been in
it.
the program for a little over 5 years now, and I've been sober 5 years. So Celebrate has really assisted me, obviously, with Jesus Christ as my
Yes.
higher power, and it's through Him first and foremost. But because of that program, it's given me the tools to keep surrendering. I'm in my third step study
Yes.
now. They're asking me to give my testimony, which I do not like doing. But Kathy Taylor's a good friend of ours. But you met a young lady by the name of Barbara who
Yes.
introduced you to Celebrate Recovery.
Yes,
Oh,
I
look
did.
at your face just glowing.
Yes, I went to. I was going to Al-Anon, and she
That's
told me
where-
about. And she
okay.
told me about the step study workshop. I called the step study a workshop for a couple of years, and I signed up for the step study before I even went to Saddleback or, did their open share group. And I would go do the steps or go through the program and go home to to the same situation that I was in. And I knew I had to leave, but didn't want to, and the situation. So I stepped into San Clemente CR, a shout out.
All right.
It's on, I'm on.
She's doing it, people. She's doing it. I want to get.
I walked in on there on my 40th birthday, and I just grieved for the first few years. I couldn't even talk. I couldn't even say the paragraph that they have you say.
Yeah, you
I'm a
did.
grateful believer. And I stumble over all of that. But anyway, yeah, it gave me the anonymity and the autonomy that I needed.
And like me coming from Al-Anon, now I came from secular, but with CR Jesus Christ, you could focus your
Yes.
walk with Christ because we couldn't in the secular.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and there was no judgment there, and I felt safe. I needed a safe place to grieve and not be known as so and so's daughter or so. You know what I mean?
Right,
Right.
that's
I
right.
needed that, so that place offered that for me personally.
And going through that program, you got a lot of freedom from it, and also
Yes.
a lot of forgiveness.
Yes.
You even came to
Yes.
an amazing part
Yes.
in your life where you were able to forgive.
Yeah, I thank John Baker and Rick Warren. I mean, amazing. I'm just so blessed by that ministry too.
Well, before you tell us about
Yeah.
your husband, that a wonderful young man.
Yes.
What happened? Hoyle was going to say, how did you end up forgiving how did you get away from your first husband?
Okay. At age 14, the kids have a right to choose in California law, and my children wanted to go see what it was like to be with their father,
Oh.
and that opened up the wound for me. And I knew I had to. It was a wake-up call. I knew I had to deal with this stuff, and I realized that I had held, unforgiveness in my heart for over 2 decades.
Wow.
And that I'd been in a survival mode, and this had been my whole identity, And in a lot of ways, I missed out on a lot of things, having kids young and
Oh,
surviving
gosh.
and all these things, but being in that bondage, And so I had to ask myself, do I want to continue the latter part of my life in unforgiveness and like this? And I knew I couldn't, And so I read a book, Bait of Satan. Love that book. It has to do with the spirit of offense, and that was another book that really helped me as well.
To break the bonds of
Yeah.
the cores and the
Yes.
stuff of the strongholds.
Yes.
Right.
But I think it's important to mention this because of your forgiveness
Yes.
to your first husband through all that craziness.
Yes.
God brought you somebody amazing in your life.
Yes.
And I want to talk about that just a
Yes.
little bit. Your husband,
Oh,
congratulations.
look at her face. I'll tell you. Hey, Travis and little Emily, How did you meet him?
Okay. Like I said, I left the last relationship. I was totally broken. I was like done with men. And the scripture that I had in my heart was, seek ye first, and all these things shall be added
That's
unto
right.
you.
That's
and I
right,
was so
Matthew.
angry with God. I was like, okay, God, I'll seek you, but you can keep your all because I don't want it. You know,
Yeah.
I really felt like that.
You had to
Yeah.
go through that
Yeah.
period of time. You went
Yeah.
through a whole lot.
Yeah.
And God's
And-
good with that.
And my friend, you know, prayed for me and said, "Oh, God's got somebody for you." And I was like, over it. I'm like, I don't believe it, you know. And I said, Lord, you know what? I it doesn't matter, you know. And I had this aha moment when I realized that I spent my whole life waiting for my parents to claim me, waiting for a man to love me, waiting for, you know, my husband to sober up, you know, waiting for my situation to get better, my
love it.
circumstances.
I love
None
it.
of it, you know. And even if I reached one
Talk to
plateau
those
to
ladies.
another,
Mhm.
you know, by the time I thought, like, if I finish this, then I'll be okay.
Right.
Still, I had a void in my heart.
Mhm.
And when I realized that I didn't wait on Jesus, but I was patient and tolerant with everybody else but him, that was huge.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. That was it.
Yeah.
That was it. Say that again. That was it. Say
was
that
it.
again. When you realized what?
When I realized that I would be patient and tolerant with everybody else, but not with God, that was huge. And the other thing that I realized was that I gave people so much power.
Mhm.
I was a people pleaser. I was, you know, fearful. I operated out of fear. I gave people so much power that those people aren't in my life today. And that was huge, you know?
And then he brought.
And that's why I'm like, I'm trying to have an attitude like I don't care what people think. You know, I
Well,
still
that's-
do, but,
But
you know.
but that's true. And then through this, God, when you told me earlier you weren't looking for a husband.
No, I
which
didn't
is
want one. I was
important.
done.
You were done. You surrendered. You were searching God and letting him. And then he brought
Yes.
Travis.
So I decided I was going to wait a year. I said, Lord, for right now, I'm going to take it 1 year at a time. Nobody for a
I
year.
can see Travis smiling over
Yeah.
there, but go on.
Yeah. And then I said, but I remember throwing out a little shout out prayer. And I think God really does hear those little shout out prayers. Because I said, Lord, if you have somebody for my little girl, not for me, you know, it's not about me, but if you have somebody for my little girl, then
Emily,
I will
she's
I will be
beautiful.
open to somebody coming into my life. Otherwise, I'm okay with being by myself.
Wow.
So he walks in on my birthday.
Oh.
But I wasn't there because
Walking in the meeting.
Yeah, it comes to see our on the week of my
Okay.
birthday, and I wasn't there because my daughter dances, and every year her recital falls on my birthday. Every year, so anyway, I missed that week. But the following week I came in, and when I saw him, I didn't think he was my husband. I just looked at him like another pretty boy. I was like,
Oh yeah,
I
he's a
didn't-
cutie. He
yeah,
is.
I didn't even look
You
at
did
him.
good, girl.
Yeah.
He did even better.
So we started. We were both introduced each other. You know, we became friends. We both weren't interested in a relationship, and I think that's what
No,
made it
that's
safe.
beautiful. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
got
And
all that
now-
other stuff out of that, and God
Yeah.
could build it from a
Yeah.
good priest. How long were you friends?
Oh, you know what? God made it fast, but we were friends for I don't know a year. I don't know.
That's
or,
good.
you know,
good
I
amount
thought
of
you were going to
time.
say
but
a
we
month.
had, but I think people saw that we had like
Chemistry,
we liked
yeah, there was
chemistry, yes.
chemistry.
And in fact, I would call him the man of interest. All my Facebook posts would be the man of interest. I didn't want to call him.
Well, what a
anything.
blessing that you know,
That's so
that God
cool.
gave you that. Because you know, I mentioned to you earlier, one of my fantasies, and people have all these extravagant fantasies. One of my fantasies is to minister with my partner, to go to my Celebrate Recovery.
We got a caller. Wow.
You got a caller? We're gonna take a quick call here, and tell us your name and where you're calling from.
They
They hung
did.
up. We'll get them next time.
Okay.
But I do want to.
Thank you for calling in.
But I do want to say, you know, one of my fantasies is to do ministry and go to Celebrate with my partner. You know, I love the gym, to be able to work out with my partner, then do my spiritual, my physical, my emotional with my partner and my family and my kids. So now you're ministering with your husband.
Yes.
How amazing. Let's give a shout out to your church, please.
Yes. Saddleback Church, San Clemente.
Woo!
Woo! It's on CR.
Yeah, and when we're going to hear from him soon too. Well, can you get her accolades in quickly?
I'm going to
or-
get her accolades real quick.
Okay.
She completed the
just love her.
Saddleback membership course. She is a part of the CR prayer team. She is a CR leader at San Clemente. She gives back to the ministry that first took you in as a teen, which is the Women of Glow. We're going to give a shout out to them because
Yeah, because
even
I used to
Lolita,
I used to
Yeah.
minister
Speak-
with them. I used to speak with them.
just an amazing story. I want to really thank you for coming on the show.
You did
But more than that,
beautiful.
thank you for your surrender to Christ and the amazing family that now you're giving back
Did
with.
she have time to ask what joy in her house means?
Yes, we like to always end. The premise of the show is joy
What
in
does
my
joy
house.
mean to you?
Joy in my house just means just having joy in your spirit, man. Just in in your temple. You know, my eyes were dark with depression and brokenness, and just to have a light in your eyes and a skip in your step is, that's joy in my house.
Oh boy, lady,
Yeah.
she just said it. She did wonderful.
Oh,
She was so scared, and she did wonderful.
Thank
My
you.
sister.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joy in my house. I want to thank Heidi Davis for coming on the show, and I think we're soon enough we're gonna have her husband, Travis, come on the show as well and give his testimony. This is Joy in
And
my
thanks,
house.
Van. We love you, our producer.
Van, our producer Van Eric. You can find us on Facebook /Joe in my house. Find us on www.latalklive.com. Click on shows, Joy in my house, and you can find all of our archive shows. Don't forget to join us next week with an amazing story of Pastor Lynn Wells from the men's ministry from Calvary Chapel, Chino Hills. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joy in my house. Thank you for being a part of the joy that we have in our house. Have a great and blessed day.
'Cause he's blind as to see. I'm praising God, praising God. I'm praising God, praising God. I'm praising God, praising God. I'm praising God. Oh, I'm praising God. He's all to me, my life, my love. He sets me free, I love him any time of day. I close my eyes and I can